long as reading across the top and then reading across the bottom as much as I need to. On page Nun Bet at the bottom, the Chef of RASHASH, we got into this concept of what he said with the Bihi on the Yisod the Chamisha Gavuros. So there's a question about what your obvious question. What did that mean? Did he mean to say that the Chamisha Gavuros are a parts by themselves, and so therefore you have a Yisod of it? So there's whatever it is, it's a language issue. Exactly how the RASHASH uses it, and so we went through that. It was a little inconclusive to me. I didn't understand the last part, but the first part wants to say that this really referring to the left side aspect of Yisod, because Yisod takes Chesadim and Gavuros in it. So maybe it would be the female aspect or something like that. It was a little bit vague for me. Let's go to the top print at number Yud Aleph there, where he says, Hine Indian Kavanot Birchus Ner Chanukah. He says, Shorshim Sovev Al Yichud Echod Elyon Hanikra Ner. So he says, what was the word? He says the kavanah that you have to have, and the root of this has to do with the combination of the names which we know, which are Havaya Ekiah, Havaya Elokim, Havaya Adni. Add them up, and they come out to be the number 250, which is a gematria of Ner V'chu Shebechavayas Berchos Brach Rishona. Now he says like this: when you come to the first bracha, Yakavin Av Vakasa, those two higher levels of Oros. So you have those kinds, but in the middle form. V'chavayis bracha shni Yakavin Sag v'Elokim Pashut, of V'vayis bracha shlishi Yakavin Ma v'Adnei Pashut. So I'm assuming that he means to say that those are the three Yehudim that you make on each one of the brachos. So there would be something to say about the other days other than the first day, when you only do two of the brachos. So apparently, like you'd have to assume that the second bracha is consumed. The third bracha is consumed in the second one. Let's go on across the top. Od yikavan shebebracha rishona. And when you do the first bracha, nir mizucha b'kol shlosha yehuda b'niskarim la'el. So even though you're saying the first bracha, and we said that it has to do with avkasa, then we're going to go on, that's right, and then we're going to go on and we're going to say that all the rest of them are in that as well. Sheyakavin lahamshach misbar av sag ma shehu misbar lahadlik, which is the same gematria as that. Look shehi ben, to bring to the look, which is the ben. Now what he's telling us here is an introduction to the graphic design that he's going to show us later on, and we've actually heard this before. Of a milas ner, the yachdam shlosha yehudim, v'az na'asa ner Chanukah. Then it makes the ner Chanukah. Let's go to the next one. He says Amnon, and once again, if we're lucky, we're fortunate enough to get through to the actual drawings and depictions. He says Amnon dachita dekavet lahamsha dezer anpin me'ima koach. They need to get the strength, the energy, the hisyachah, the shlosha yehudim. But you need something that would do that. Which is the word nach with a lamed. I don't know if you're supposed to say this or not. I guess it's early in the morning. We say Nachal. Shehu rumbles the barosha tevid lahadlik ner Chanukah. So here's a case, and you see this let. I look at the Kriya Shema Lamita, and there's a section there where he gives a pasuk, which I don't know why the pasuk, but the pasuk works out to be able to explain the as a guide, let's say, so to speak, to explain the kavanah that you're supposed to have. And one of the things they do is they take the first letter, the Rosh Tevos. That's the first thing they do. They take the Rosh Tevos and they show you that it comes out. And in here, you have the word Nachal. Shehu Ramos Rosh Tevos Lahadlik Ner Chanukah. That's the first letters of each one. V'hu misbar ma. So he says that what is this? This is the account, we're going to have to look at this maybe, of 45. But Ribu, it's another, that is ma, And then in the middle of the Ram, maybe we don't have to go through this, we'll see. The Rabua Ekya, and in the middle of it is the Rabua of Ekya, which is a gematria of 44, Besoch the Vav. So in the Vav is Vav Aleph Vav, you go Vav Aleph, and then you put an Ekya in there in a Rabua form. The Ma, so it's the Rabua of Ma. V'hu his Lavshus Ima, and what does it represent? And we have the same concept in Pesach, in Sphira. V'hu his Lavshus Ima shehi Ekya b'sel chazah shehu Ma. So to show you that there's inside of Zer Anpin, we have a connection there between Ekya, which is the backside, in other words, the Ravua of Ekya. Ravua here means that it's a transfer from the Chitzonis. Ravua would be the Chitzonius of Ekya, and the Chitzonius of Ekya is transferring its and becoming the Panemius of Zer Anpin, which we see in other places. So now you're taking this flow, this word, Nachal, this divine name, again, I'm not sure what to do with it. So he says he's in there, excuse me, Shabanuk. So what you're trying to do is bring that down. And here, apparently we're going to see that. So what is the Nuk? Shahu Ben, the Lamed Bav Vav Osius, you take the name 52 and 36, you get that number 88. So 88 is going to be the gematria of the word lahadlik. So you take those two together. Shahu, this is the, put them together, what do you got? You get Shahu Ben, the Nuk is Ben, along with the 36 letters, Osios, let's see what else he says, with the 36 letters. Now we may have to look at that, just I'm not sure what he means there. Of the Milas Chanukah, the Gavin, the Hamshech Me'ima, so on Chanukah. When you say the word Chanukah, the Hadlik Ner Shel Chanukah, or Chanukah, I think he says other places that you don't use the word shell. But that he's a Milas Chanukah, the Gavin, the Hamshech Me'ima, the Nuk, this is the idea that your Kavanah should be there. To transfer from Ima, which is that Ekya that's inside the Ma, Pashut, Umale, the Sag, so you take the Pashut and the Male, the Sag, Mizbech Chanukah, which comes to the gematria of Chanukah, for Ozna Asach of the Ner Chanukah, and that makes the Ner of Chanukah. Let's read some of the detail here. It started on Yud Ches, so let's go over to Yud Ches, down here, down the bottom. Just reading the light print only. So he says, Ramos Baroshe Tevis Lahadlik Ner, so here we go. V'yakam Baroshe Tevis Shel Lahadlik Ner Chanukah. So those three letters. Lahamshik Lezer Anpin the Shem HaKodesh, which is this word Nachal, which is, once again, Nachal means a stream, a brook. V'yicham Shocha Me'imo, this is talking about what's coming into Zer Anpin from Ima. Because the Shlosha Yehudim, that gives her the ability to make those three Yehudim. Light print again. Nachal b'gematria mispar shem ma v'revul shel shem ekya, in the middle of Besocho kazeh. It goes Yud, and this is an immediately form, Yud K, and then it starts the Vav. And the Vav is Vav Aleph, and then he puts an Ekya in there. Ekya is a gematria of Dam. We know that from Pesach. Okay, but who his lavshos ima? So let's go on. Ve'inyan kavanah zu romeza the his lavshos ima shehi bechinas shem ekyer b'sochazal shehu bechinas shem ma. Going down to light print again. V'an yikavan lachamshe the nuk shem nachal zeh mizer anpin. So now another kavanah. First you're bringing that in from ima into zer anpin, and now there's a shem nachal zeh mizer anpin shehu shem havayah the ma v'revua ekyer inside of it. The Nachal Shabanuk into the Nachal that's inside of the Nuk. And he says, what is the Nachal inside of the Nuk? It's the name Ben. And then also the Lamed Vav Osios, Umisbar Ben, Im Lamed Vav Osios, Ola Nachal, it comes to the gematria of 88. Once again, 88 and Lahadlik. Kazeh, so it looks like this. Yud Vav Dalet KK, Vav Vav KK, Begematria Ben. So the Havaya 4, which is 4, and the milui of Hayin, which is what's it, 20? So of a milui, the milui, yesh b'chem lamed bav osius, is just counting up the letters. So which looks like this: Havaya, then Yud Vav Dalet KK Vav Vav KK, and then the count Yud Vav Dalet K Vav Vav Vav, etc., 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 going to come out to be that number Nachal. Then he goes on and he says in light print, let's see where we are. Number Kaf Bet, Kaf Bet. Kaf Bet, B'milas Chanukah de Kavin Lachamshech Me'ibach de Nuk Pashut, Umale de Sag Kamisber Chanukah, which is going to come out to be that same number, V'oz Na'asach Ner Chanukah. And this is the combination. You have the Ner for the 3 combinations that we're doing. The energy for putting them together is this Nachal. And he writes, B'milas Chanukah, Yikavin Lachamshech Me'ibach V'vai Peshuta Olako, which is 26. Which is Yud Kei Vav Kei, V'chein Chavai B'milui Sag Kazeh. So he shows you the Havaya like this, which has so you have a combination of Ku and Sag. Olaka Misbar, it actually comes out to be Chanukah. This combination is, Chanukah is 88, this is 89, V'ozna Asa Ner Chanukah, and that's the construction in the space of Istilus of this flow. Okay, then let's read the darker print. Here it says, V'gam Yekavan B'midas Chanukah, Kamosh Amar Razal, Chanu Bako. So that's how you do it, is Chanu Bako. It's the Chanu, whatever Chanu means, Lashon Chen, I'm not sure, or encampment, something like that, on the 25th. V'hem Ko Osius is the 25 letters that you find in the Shloshech Yehudim, that's where you find them. Od Yekavan B'midas Chanukah, Asod and Nirmaz B'mayim B'chazal. The Chanukah Nikra al Shem Chanu Ko. You could divide it up like that. V'rambos B'zecha the Kof. So there's a reverence over there. You have the Chanu, which is the gematria of 5864, and you add it up for Ramos B'zecha the Kof He Osius Sheyesh B'Shloshech Yehudim Anaz Aniskar. So you're going to bring that into the 25 letters that you have. The Havaya Ekia, Havaya Elokim, Havaya Adni. V'shisha Shemus Elohim Ko Osius, he put them all together, there's 25 letters there. Number 24, he says, Od Yekavin, furthermore, you should have this kavanah, Sheyesh B'bracha Zu, Yud Gimel, 1 second, Yud Gimel Mechilin. There is actually the mention of the 13 attributes of the beard of Eric Anpin, or the beard in general, of the flow of light coming from the top to the bottom through the beard. Mechilin de Rachme, the attributes of mercy. I'm just trying to figure out, I'm getting the word attributes, I can't get the word exactly right. Midas Arachmim, there you go. So he says, Kavana Zilch Mepri Eitz Chaim. So we have this Kavana, which was brought in by the Pri Eitz Chaim. And we get a chance to see this in the Bracha, V'huki B'bracham Rishon Yesh Yud Gimel Tevos. You could take the idea now, you get a flow chart from the top of the kale all the way down. So the Keneged Yud Gimel Mechilin de Rachme, B'yakav B'kol Tevach Bracha the Tikkun Echad. So you should have the idea in every single bracha for one tikkun. Tikkun Echad Chayna Rebbetevis Barak Yakav the Tikkun Aleph. The first tikkun, which is kale, V'tevis Atah the kind of the tikkun base, which is Rachamim, and going on like that, and you see them down below here, where he says, he apparently the Kavanah is like this, when you say the word Baruch, and then you could see them all, how they go, Kel Rachav V'chanim, Erika Paim V'rav Chesed V'emes, they go on the words of the Bracha, Baruch Atah Hashem, L'keinu Melech Olam, etc., 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 finally finishing up with the Hadig Ner Chanukah, and Chanukah comes out to be the last word, the Nakeh. So let's read a little bit more, and he says, "V'hu de'ima makashet is the barto." Now, it's a phrase that we've seen before. She adorns her daughter. The sakna hod didor. So, what's the purpose of the tikkun that you're going to, or the kishut that he's doing? He says it's in order to make a tikkun in her hod b'shmona mechidin derachme with 8 of the attributes who min kale ad notzer. Now, the first part is, what's the concept here? We're talking about that Ima is really giving something adornment for her daughter, the building up her daughter. And in that process, we're dealing with the first 8. So let's see what he says. It's a little bit vague still. V'inin kavana zichu the ima mekashet is the barta. The ima mamshicha, and what does it actually mean? What does it mean? It means the ima mamshicha the nuk hayud gimel mechina the rachamim. She gives her the 32 meters of rachamim min kale ad tikun shmini. So through the first 8, the sakna hodudah. Why? In order to be able to get to her hod, because after hod, number 8. For if you start from the top. So it's the eighth mechilin. So mechila. So his word is. We'll get to it. The mechilin is kind of an Aramaic word. The sakta hodidah shmona yemei Chanukah, which really refers to each one of them goes on one of the 8 days of the Rachamim. So this is bringing out the hod. Ki Chanukah hu behod. So I mind we said that before. Kamoso b'shar gavanos. So going on. Mechilta. So that's the word mechilta, which means a midah. Called midah. Let me see. I've got it written there. 1 second. Midah. Each one of those 8, I think that's what he means, has all 13 in it. So every night, this is another kavanah. Each one of the nights of the 8th nights is, of course, there's 13 midos, but so he says in the 8th night, each one gets 1 for the 8 nights. So now he writes it out like a little bit better. If it's on the Shatavin, he called Tikkun Kolula he miyud gimel tikunim. The Hanish Belel Rishon, Sha'ana Meguvana, the Tikkun the Rishon, which is kale. Ana meguvana b'kol teva of tevas bracha, that every one of the words of that bracha, that in each one of the words itself has the yud gimel tikunim midas arachamim. So he said the yud gimel tikunim hakolula v'tikun rishon, which are all in the rishon. V'chein b'leil sheni, same thing in the second night. Shana meguvana the tikun base, it's the second base, which is rachel. Megovanim kol yud gimel tikunim kolula b'tikun hasheni. So you have this idea of a flow within each one of the days, from the top to the bottom of the beard of Eric Anpin, or in this case, I don't know that this is Chanukah. Anyway, the flow. Hayotz alona the field zechav she'ana osim yud gimel pamim yud gimel. It's 13 times 13. The call laila begavanda the tikkun shebaosach laila shabo mushrash kol yud gimel tikinim. So there's a root of it, which is in one of the names of the 8 names. And in it, each one of them is going to have 13. Now, the thing is, he says there's 13, but you're still missing 5. You only get 8. So what do you do about that? Leil Shmini, Leil Zos Chanukah. So he has something unusual here, which I can't place yet. He says on the 9th line, you have the night which is called Zos. Zos Chanukah, this the Chanukah, Osin Shisha Pamim Yud Gimel. We do in that night alone six times Yud Gimel. Sheves Hayom and the Kodmim, but each one of the 7 days before that. The Sheva Tikkunim and Rishonim, it's talking about the first 7 Tikkunim down through Netzach. And he said, V'Belel Shmini, Mekuvana the Sheres Tikkunim, you have to have an idea that all the rest of the Tikkunim are going to be lumped into that 8th day. That's the concept of the miracle. From Menotzer Chesed ad Venake. So that would be from number 8 down to through number 13. V'oz yesh yichud v'zivug shecham notzer v'nake. So then what happens is that where you add notzer, which is chesed, notzer chesed, and then v'nake, which is the last part, which is the yichud between those two, v'zechu ma'alus zos Chanukah. So he says, v'hemshech, as you go on, we had this word zos. Yivur zos b'loshen yichud. So Yossi says the phrase was Shemini Leil Zos. The Leil Zos, later on we're going to see that means it's a yichud between the 7th and the Yeah, between the seventh and the last tikkun, they're all going to come together in that one day. They're going to bring all of them together. Number Kaf Zion, he says, "V'gam yekavin b'kol laila b'vaya achaz hascharim shebo shehem yud vav b'nikud chagat nai." Now that's this phrase right here without the explanation. I'm not sure I would follow it. He says again, "Gam yekavin b'kol laila." So you have this idea every night. So the male part of the Yud K Vav K is going to be Yud and Vav. B'nikud Chagat Nai. So how do you get Chagat Nai out of Yud Vav? So I'm not sure. Yud and Vav, those two letters of the Havaya. V'chanok shehem hey, which are the two heys, b'nikud Kibbutz, which we call Kubutz, but he calls it Kibbutz. So he says, now let's see if we can understand this in the little bit of time we have left. He said, "V'hida calls Shem Havaya," which every time we get to the name Havaya, Hascharim Yud Vav Sheb'Shem, they represent the Yud and the Vav of Yud Kevavke. Kichem Ramazin the Avav V'Lezer Anpin Kanaidim. Van the Kevus Haim the two Hays. Ki Haim Ramazos the Iba B'Malch Kanaidim. And so in that first Havaya, which we would have said Lahadlik Ner Chanukah, Yikavin Nikud Osius Zacharim, you have in mind that the Nikud is going to be with the male letters, which are Yud and Vav, Shem Osius Yud and Vav, Benikud Seder Spheros Chagat Nai, and you have to look at the Yud and Vav in a way that they're going to represent the Chagat Nai. Now, I'm really not sure how that works. Milamala Lamata, and understand when he starts, he's going to have Chagat, and then it's going to be, after that's going to, it's going to be Chesed, and after that Gevurah, and after that Teferes, going from the top, which is Chesed, down to the bottom, which is the Yisod. Milamala Lamata. That reminds me that I did have an explanation of why that Yisod is called Malchus, because you're dealing with the parts of which are the parts of a Kochav, are the parts of Chagat Nai. And those two partsufim, apparently, they are independent of Malchus itself. So when you're dealing with that, you're dealing with the Malchus of that particular partsuf, but not the Malchus of which we call Malchus, the ultimate Malchus. So he's describing over there, I don't know if I explained that real quickly, but let's go on. So the next day, you're going to have a Gevur, everything is going to be in Gevur. He's going to have a little drawing of this. We'll see it in a minute. Or we'll see it next time, I guess. So he says, Shabbat Leil Gimel Nikud Teferish Shehu Cholim. Beleil Dalad Nikud Netzach, which is the Kirik. Leil Hey Nikud Hod, which is the Shurak. Leil Vav Nikud Yisod Shehu Malafum. Leil Zion Gam Kem Nikud Yisod. Avachavata Rabenukud Kulu Malafum. But the whole thing is going to be in Malafum. Afilo Osius Hanuk Shehem Osius Hey and Hey. Shemenaked b'kol chalayla b'nikud hahod, which each light is going to have a nikud of the hod, b'kibbutz or the shuruk, atacha b'leil hashvi. So when you get to the seventh night, hemenukad b'nikud yisod kamen nikud is charon. So he's going to have a little. I think he's going to have a little drawing of that to really help us out. Ovelecha Shmini Nikud Hamalchus Nikud Sivakois V'Chavahe Achrona Yanake B'Shuruk Kabechal Lila. So let's stop here. We'll pick it up. He's going to have a drawing of this on the next page, which is going to help us understand what he's talking about. See you on the back end.